Hey, what is going on, guys? It is Monday noon, hanging out with the networking leaders of Success Champions Networking. And today is my buddy TJ coming in from the Arlington, Texas chapter, sitting down with us, talking a little bit about networking, his group, and all things to get you rocking and rolling and just some badassery. TJ, how the hell are you, brother? Welcome to the show. Tell us who the heck you are.
I'm doing wonderful, Donnie. Thanks for having me. I am TJ
Absolutely.
Thompson. I am the president of the Success Champion Network in Arlington, Texas, and we're just launching. So we are looking to grow pretty rapidly and give everybody the opportunity that joins the group to share in referrals to grow our businesses together.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, and what do you do for a living? I know you got a background, pretty cool one. What are you doing to have for a living?
Yeah, so I've been in real estate for the last 8 years. I specialize in land and farm and ranch properties, recreational land, rural properties, and it's been a real enjoyable opportunity for me because I was able to transfer some things over from some skills and knowledge from a previous career that I was in.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it when you can find something that you can geek out in, have some fun with, and also make a living at it at the same time. It's always been a pretty cool winning recipe for myself over the years that has gotten me through quite a bit of shit. So, good morning, Miss Charlie. Good to see you, dear. So let's talk a little bit about networking. I know you've been a networker for a while, participated in, and worked in many groups. How do you define what networking is, TJ?
For me, networking is about having meaningful conversations that will lead to the ability to help somebody else grow their business, and hopefully in turn they can help me grow mine. I think a lot of times you have to be purposeful about networking. Just going to a networking group and wasting an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours of having drinks and socializing is great. But when you go and you're just exchanging business cards with somebody that you don't really have a connection with, it's just another piece of paper that you got to collect and decide what you're going to do with.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. It's funny to me that so many people have turned networking, either whether it's a weekly meeting, after hours, anything, into more of a social club. And that, or they're focused on selling the people in those rooms versus, building relationships so other people will open up their Rolodex for them. My rooster says hello. This is real life. But so for you, through all your time out building your businesses and networking and the likes, what was some of the things that you've learned along this journey that made networking more successful for you?
Well, I think one of the biggest things was, again, being purposeful about the networking, making connections with people that I truly felt like I made a personal connection with and that I could trust, and that I would be able to not only refer them business, but felt like they would be genuine in referring business back to me.
Love
Um,
that.
that's I mean, that's the basis of it. But the other thing is you need to be able to also go to those events and socialize and maybe have a few drinks and get to know folks on that level, because sometimes you got to do that first before you can actually make that connection. So it's a combination of things, but the biggest part is making sure you're purposeful about the connections that you're trying to make.
Yeah, no, I love that. Because a lot of people, they don't know what to do, so they end up just drinking a few cocktails, or like we talked about a second ago, turning it into a social hour, and nobody wins in that regard. So it's all about having a mission, having a purpose, so you know what to expect and what to get out of every time you sit across from somebody, whether it be a meeting, an after hours, or just a coffee talk. What's a typical day look like for you? I mean, I know you have a pretty big focus on the farm life, land and development with what you do. Walk us through a typical day. What's it look like?
So for me, a typical day once I get up and get going is, I spend a little bit of time just kind of self motivation, probably doing some affirmations and getting myself ready for my day to get started. And then I'll do some contacts and reach out to some folks that have maybe inquired about a property, or some people that I need to talk to regards to a lead that's come in. And then usually from there, it's a matter of following up on transactions that we may already have going, reaching out to the agents that are in our brokerage, because I'd also mentor and coach them as well. So see where they're at, see where I might be able to help them, touching in base with my business partner, who's our broker, and seeing if there's anything he needs from me, anything that I need to do for the brokerage. And then more than likely, if there's properties that need to be shown, possibly go out and see them in the afternoon. On occasion, if it's going to be somewhere more than about 45 minutes or so away from the DFW area, because I cover 150 mile radius around Fort Worth as my normal area, that normally might require that I need to get out early in the morning, and we need to take a day trip out to a property. So that's typically how my day is. And then I usually at the end of the afternoon, I'll take a look at my plan, my calendar, and see what I've got coming up over the next day, so I can kind of better prepare the day before of what I got going. If I need to reshuffle based on things that didn't get completed today, then I need to move to tomorrow, reprioritize some things. And that actually goes back to when I was in my previous employment. I did a lot of that because I ran crews. And so in order to know what we needed to do, sometimes you had to shift on the fly and you had to make those changes. But it was always easier for me to have my crews prepared for the next day's work by pre-planning the afternoon before. And I didn't have to come in first thing at 6 o'clock in the morning and go, okay, what are we doing today? I already knew what we were doing. I had everything ready to go. And it made my day start easier, and it made it easier for my guys as well. So I just transferred that skill set over to what I do now.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So I just love that organization behind it. It's not one of my greatest strengths, man. I'm a kind of a bull in a china shop in that regard, but we get it done anyways. So what are some of the biggest challenges you think people are facing in networking right now, especially with the new climate we're in and everything? What are some of the biggest challenges?
I think, we're still in this situation that we're in, but when we do come out of it, it is going to be a new normal. We're not going to go back to the way things are, because we can't. So everybody's going to face challenges. Everybody's going to face making adjustments to what they were used to, and that may not still happen. So I think one of the things is figuring out what that new schedule is going to look like for you. What things are you going to be able to continue to do, and what things are you not going to be able to do that you wished you could? So trying to find alternatives to those. And hence that kind of leads into, what we've done here with the Success Champion Network being a virtual networking. It's easy to do. You can do it from anywhere. You just have to have access to basically the internet and being able to log into the networking session. So I think that's one of them. The other one's going to be is, a lot of people are going to have to figure out what is it that they have their passion about. Where do they want to put in their time that they do have?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And based off of that, what is something you wish somebody would have told you about networking years ago that you've learned later on in the game?
I wish somebody had told me be purposeful with it. Otherwise it is going to become a social happy hour. If you're going to those things to meet people, then do it with purpose, because otherwise you're just going to get to know people very casually. You're going to see them. You might remember a face. You're not going to maybe necessarily remember a name. I know that sometimes that happens to me. But it's having some intent other than just going to see people and have a few drinks.
No, I love it. I'm curious, when you drive out with these folks to look at these land and property, if you're looking at a couple 100 acres or larger, are you taking them out and driving them through the back 40 and everything? Is it a full-on tour?
Yeah.
Can I just sign up with you to go look at some of these properties? Because I know there's some badass properties. I'm not in the market to buy at the moment, but I want to go look at some of these properties.
Yeah, to truly benefit the effort of going out there and taking your clients out there, that are prospective buyers for these properties, you want to give them the opportunity to see as much as a property as possible. And that's why I try to only do one per day, unless they're smaller properties and they're all kind of within a small area. We may try to catch 2 a day. In the heat of the summer, yeah, we could possibly do 3. Depends on how early we get a start. But usually 1 to 2 is a max. If it's real large, like you said, several hundred to thousands or plus acres, that may be a 1-day property. And it's you got to see as much of it as possible so that you really understand what it is you're buying. Because sometimes it's not necessarily the land itself. Sometimes it's the view, and the view has a price. And so there may be a certain spot that's very appealing to a potential buyer that has just the best view that no other part of the property has. And so you got to make sure you can get to that piece of property and be able to see that. And sometimes, you do it by vehicle. Sometimes you have to do it by ATV. But one of the things that I typically do on most properties is when we go out, the first thing we do is ride the perimeter, because then at least we know where the boundaries are. Or if I've got a survey, I can estimate approximately where boundaries are if there's no fence lines. And it at least helps people understand where their property may or may not end. So that we can have an idea. Okay, we know how far out it goes. Now we get to spend all the rest of the time looking at the interior and really traversing that property to make sure that we get to see all of it as much as possible.
Yeah, I know for me, like on my farm, we, had to go find all the damn marking sticks up around the creek and everything just to make sure when we put in fences that we stayed on our property line. But even so, I still called my neighbors over. My neighbors aren't close, just to make sure I wasn't crossing over their lines and there wasn't going to be a dispute down the road. So it's pretty crazy. What do you do when you're not networking? When you're not, being Mr. Realtor and all that? What do you actually do for fun?
So one of the things that I do is I also teach continuing education classes for real estate. So I spend some time writing coursework and creating new content and new courses, scheduling those to be taught by myself. And then I like to go to rodeos and bull ridings. I was a professional bull rider for 8 years.
Oh, I didn't know
that. So I still have a passion for that. And I have some connections with some of the younger guys that are on tour now that I talk to on a kind of regular basis.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
How did somebody get into bull ride? I mean, did you start off in mutton busting or did you get drunk one day and go, I'm going to ride that damn bull?
No, neither actually. I was told that, you take a handful of marbles and you put them in your mouth. Every time you get on a bull, you spit one out. When you spit all your marbles out, that means you've lost all your marbles and now you're a bull rider.
Lord, I've actually sat on the back of one bull. It was a dare when I was in the Marine Corps. There was a little bitty rodeo outside of Camp Lejeune, Jacksonville, North Carolina. A tiny little rodeo.
Yeah, Oslo Rodeo Arena. I know it well.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it was like for $10, they would throw you on the back of a bull. And buddies of mine, they're like, "You're from Texas, you should be able to ride a." I'm like, dude, I rode a few horses as a kid. I ain't ever ridden a bull. And sure as shit, with a little bit of liquid courage, my ass was on the back of a bull. I think I lasted maybe a half a second, maybe.
Well, you didn't do any better than I did my first go around. I actually started riding bulls in North Carolina as well. And my first bull I got on, I think I took him 2 jumps and bucked straight off and landed right on my tailbone and bruised my tailbone and couldn't bend over for 2 weeks. So
nice. Too funny. So,
but I kind of did the same thing. I went out with a couple of buddies, and I had always watched bull riding on, at Mesquite on the old Nashville network back on cable TV, and it's like always fascinated with the bull riding part of it. And so, of course, I went to rodeos, and when I lived in Virginia, we had some that came through every couple of months or whatever, and we'd go to those. But when I was in college, that's kind of when I got hooked on the bull riding part of it, and I went with a couple of buddies of mine back in the mid '90s, and we went to, like I said, this place in North Carolina, and I got on with the rope that was made for a right-handed rider. I rode left-handed, and it's a whole bunch of crazy stuff. But anyway, it was one of those things that I did it. I got bucked off, but I loved it. I fell in love with it, and I started traveling with those guys to some regional rodeos and getting opportunities to get on some bulls when there were guys that didn't show up, so that they could keep the performance going. And so from there, I joined and kept practicing, and wound up doing it, like I said, professionally for 8 years. So it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
So was that before the era of the helmets and the chest protectors and all that?
The vest had been around for a little while at that point, but the helmets were just starting to come in, and
Okay.
I was probably in my second or third year at the point where the National High School Rodeo Association instituted the mandate for helmets and vests for all bull riders. And then about a year or two later, they mandated the vest for all rough stock riders. So
Nice.
you
Oh,
see the guys that are
riding.
riding with helmets all the time now. Those are the younger generation that came up from the mid 90s on that
Yeah, because when I
didn't
was a
have a
kid
choice. They were
and you were
required to.
doing 4-H and everything else, there was nothing. And dude threw on a freaking pair of boots and a cowboy hat, and that was everything. I mean,
Right.
fucking nuts, 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 nuts. So you're helping launch the Arlington, Texas chamber or chapter. When did that one meet? It's Wednesdays, right?
Tuesdays at 2 o'clock.
Tuesday at 2 o'clock. Okay, I keep screwing that up. So Tuesdays at 2 o'clock. And these are all virtual. And currently you've got yourself in real estate. You got Joni who's doing HVAC, Daryl who does insurance. We got a lot of open spots in there. So if you guys are looking to network in the Arlington, Texas area, want to get deeply engrossed in that community, you need to check out the SEN Success Champions Networking, specifically the Arlington chapter that TJ is helping us start off. Why should they join, TJ?
It's the next thing that's coming. And again, like I mentioned earlier, it is the easiest way for you to be able to network with people because it's more convenient. You don't have to drive to a specific location. You can make it happen. Even if you're on a different site that you're trying to conduct work in physically, but you want to be able to connect with the networking piece of it, you can still do that virtually by getting on your phone and logging in and still being part of the group. It's just a great opportunity to be able to use the tools that we have available to us today to still be able to have the opportunities to meet with people that truly want to help you grow your business as much as they want you to help them grow theirs, without having to drive to a specific location and make sure that you have the time to be able to get there and not have interference with something other outside activity.
Yeah, I love it. And I agree. I think this is the new thing that's going to come. I was talking this morning about how much things are going to change. And, we both grew up in a generation where you met somebody, you shook hands, you embraced and a hug. And I think that's going to be forever changed as we move forward, and as a buddy of mine said, now when we meet, you get two options. Since we can't shake hands, you can bow or you can give me the finger. So your choice.
Yeah, I think the fist bump is going to go away. I mean, as much as it's still there and it's been used, even before all this stuff hit. Yep. I think the fist bump's going to go away. That the elbow may be the new thing that comes in, but I think you're right. Maybe it's the Eastern. Yeah, maybe it's the Eastern Oriental culture of bowing, or some kind of the high sign from Little Rascals. I don't know. It'll be something.
I'll kick this up on the screen. So if you guys want more information about the virtual networking group, Success Champion Networking, you can head over to our website, URL's there, and get more details, weekly meetings, ongoing training, and more. TJ, how much do you like the ongoing training?
Ongoing training is great. That's a great benefit of joining the group, is being able to go to the Thursday morning at 10 o'clock trainings online on Facebook and be part of that. And Donnie does a great job of, really diving into helping us all grow our businesses with his experiences and the things that he has found that are proven and successful. And so that's, as being a member of the networking group, that's a great added benefit.
That's awesome. Well, TJ, this has been awesome, my friend. I appreciate you jumping on here this morning with me. TJ Thompson, sort of the president of the Arlington chapter, will be coming up with a cool name for those guys for too long. We also have the Bethesda Badasses, Fort Worth 1, Successful Connections, Fort Worth 2. So right now we're sitting on 12 chapters launching. We're in discussion with 2 more to have us at 14 chapters across the U.S. So you get a local chapter, and also you get access to everybody who's in the Becoming a Champions group. So you can network with people all over the U.S., actually all over the world at this point. So TJ, I truly appreciate you, brother. Thanks for jumping in here with us. I appreciate you, everything you're doing, and helping us get this whole thing up and rocking.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. If there's anything else I can do, just reach out.
All right, bud. Appreciate you. Later.
Yep.